last week, I must say I was blown away. I was actually amazed at the level of support that Palestine has, at how people have embraced the Palestinian cause as their own personal cause. We see it right across Cape Town, driving on the roads, the flags on the cars. You walk into businesses, the Palestinian flags that are flying into people's homes, and also looking at all the murals, even informal traders that have embraced the Palestinian cause. In fact, I was driving along one of the roads where there was a lady selling toilet paper, and there was this huge Palestinian flag that was sticking out from the pile of toilet paper. Now, this is the extent and the level of support that the people have had in Palestine, and also painting of murals on their walls. I had the opportunity of attending the event in the Burgkaap, that huge block of flats with the painting of the Palestinian flag. And again, the city of Cape Town has come once again under scrutiny, under the spotlight, and again, looking at the Democratic Alliance. We've just seen yesterday what has actually taken place with regard to the graffiti that the city of Cape Town had ordered to be removed. We know what had taken place with the police services at the Newlands Cricket Stadium last week, and also what had taken place in Sea Point when that protest action had taken place. And looking at the area that we're talking about Lavender Hill. Now, Lavender Hill is a gangster ridden area, and we know there is a lot of graffiti on the walls of many of the flats, and also homes and walls of Lavender Hill. But the order to take down the Palestinian flag. And this is the reason why we are talking this morning with Moeshfieka Botha, who is a human rights activist. Moeshfieka, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome.
Walaikum salam. Jazakallah for having
Yes,
Daniel.
Jazakallah to you. And I see you've had obviously quite a bit to say, quite a bit to write with regard to the DA, the city of Cape Town. And I want to just go to one of the saying that the DA and the city of Cape Town are pure rubbish.
Oh yes, that's no. I mean, that's a. I think that's a given. I think if you look at the difference in the manner in which they treat situations wherever they may be placed in Cape Town, if you look at the allocation of resources, if you look at their response to various situations within the city of Cape Town, depending on where you live, that is how they treat you. And that's pure rubbish as far as I'm concerned. The people of Lavender Hill have been living in flats which are dirty and unkempt and uncared for and not looked after for decades and decades and decades. Lavender Hill, Hanover Park, Manenberg all have council flats which are filthy, filthy. Yet, not once have I seen the DA raise his hand and say, oh no, we've got to implement this bylaw and take off the graffiti that the gangs have put up. No. So the city of Cape Town determines its actions and implements its bylaws at will. The implementation of bylaws by the city of Cape Town comes on how it sees it, how it views a situation. With all due respect to the city of Cape Town, oh no, I take that back, no respect to the city of Cape Town. Lavender Hill could do with law enforcement. Lavender Hill could do with law enforcement when children are being killed in gang crossfire. Lavender Hill could do with law enforcement when our children have to wade through filth to get through school, to get to school in the morning. Lavender Hill could do with all the resources that were there to take down a Palestinian flag mural when right next door there is a flat that has gangster graffiti on it. So, first of all, it is a complete and utter waste of resources. Not only did you have your people from the city of Cape Town coming there, painting over the flag like they've got nothing else to do. Like we've got no refuse that needs to be picked up in Cape Town. We've got nothing else for the city of Cape Town to be doing right now. Not only did they send people to paint over the flag, they then sent law enforcement officers to watch the people and protect those people. Please tell me, in what universe does it make sense that we have the resources and the allocation of law enforcement officials to be watching people take down a mural, but we do not have the allocation of law enforcement officials when we are trying to stop drugs, crime, and violence in our society.
Well, it's clear, Mushfika, from what you're saying, that the city of Cape Town and the Democratic Alliance have, obviously put their flags to the mast. They know exactly where they stand with regard. We know exactly where they stand with regard to what is playing out in Palestine, and because all their actions, and it is not only this action in Lavender Hill. I mentioned what had taken place at the Newlands Cricket Stadium last week as well. The manhandling of people that were protesting outside the stadium, and the removal of flags from within the Newland Stadium as well. And there have been huge question marks that have come through against the police in Cape Town, the police services, as to who is ordering the police services and where do they actually stand. Where on a national level, we know what our national government's position is. We know what is going to take place at the ICJ today, at The Hague as well. Now, these are huge question marks against the DA and its actions.
You have to, sadly, the arrogance of the Democratic Alliance in the Western Cape knows no limits. The DA, obviously, first prize for would be to complete alienation from the rest of the country, so that they could have the little Western Cape of Orania to lead. But more than anything, the DA has made it abundantly clear on where they stand on the issue of Palestine. So they can sugarcoat it as much as they want, and they can call for neutrality in the situation, and they can call for they can call for anything as much as they want to, and they can try and make people think and feel and really try and convince people otherwise. But I have to say, something that stood out for me very much on an international level at how the Democratic Alliance treats various circumstances is this. When the Russian-Ukraine issue came about, John Steenhuisen from the DA had this to say on the 22nd of February, on the 24th of February, sorry. He says, an invasion of a democratic country, a violation of international law, and a trampling of sovereignty of a nation. Russia's aggression must be condemned by all freedom-loving people around the globe, and it must be stopped. President Cyril Ramaphosa needs to speak out about this. And I'm hoping that you could see that here he even went and put up a Ukrainian flag on his tweet that day. Again, on the 11th of March, the Premier Alan Winde, from the media release put out by Premier Alan Winde, specifically says the meeting that he had with the Ukrainian ambassador follows a commitment made during a provincial cabinet earlier this week to engage with the Ukrainian ambassador and share our unequivocal position that we strongly condemn the government of the Russian Federation for its illegal invasion of Ukraine. This unprovoked illegal war, which threatens world peace and the very foundation of liberal international order, cannot be met with neutrality and silence. They went further and then lit up, at their own behest, lit up the city hall of Cape Town in the colors of Ukraine. Now, taking nothing away from the Russian-Ukrainian situation, my question to the Democratic Alliance, those who work for them, those highly paid counselors who benefit from them, but more so the Muslims who continue to vote for them. If the Democratic Alliance could come out and outright condemn another country who it sees as violating international law and being the aggressor to another country, if they did not take the stance of neutrality and silence on that, why will they not call out Israel and its genocide on Palestine now? Why? The Democratic Alliance can no longer hide behind the fact that it supports Israel. Its funders come from Israel. We know that. And all I want the Democratic Alliance to do is to raise their hand and to say, you know what? We don't support the people of Palestine. We are in support of Israel, who kills children, babies, elderly. We are in support of Israel. Sorry, we are in support of Israel, who bombs schools and hospitals and churches. We are in support of Israel. Tell us that. Stop this. Stop the disparity between how you deal with issues of Palestine and issues of the Ukraine. Stop that. Tell us, come out. Not a problem. Not a problem. We would have more respect for you if you came out and you told us this is where we stand, as opposed to councillors sending out messages, oh, you know, and we stand for everything, and you know what, it's for peace-loving people, and we don't want this, and so one of the councillors replied to me and said that there was something about one of the posts that had gone up, and there has been no complaints about the mural. There was one thing that went out, and they said they all the Democratic Alliance wants is neutrality and peace. Yet your very premier, the very leader of your party, came out and said we cannot be neutral and silent on the Russia-Ukrainian invasion, on the Russia-Ukraine conflict. So the
Yes.
Democratic Alliance has to stop playing this both sides. We see them for what you are. And I'm hoping that our communities see them for what they are, which is a party that is selective in the allocation of resources, selective in the implementation of bylaws, and selective in the compassion of children who die.
Well, all of this clearly is building a very, very strong case in the build-up to the elections, Moeshfieka. And these are things. These are things that people will always remember. And clearly, comes election time, we should not forget. We should not forget the actions of the DA, and I'm sure the community of Cape Town. There's a lot of work that lies ahead of us, ahead of the elections, but also at the same time, looking at community members, looking at people like yourself, human rights activists. It's an ongoing struggle. It's going to be an ongoing battle, and I'm sure it's going to be relentless. It's going to be non-stop from now right till the elections as well.
We're up for it. We are up for it. We have had absolutely and utterly enough. I can't talk for myself. I would slit my wrist with a butter knife before I ever voted for the Democratic Alliance. And anybody who is in my house would know that they would have to move out of my home before they did that, because I cannot think that one has any sense of principle, any sense of morality. So the Democratic Alliance councillor sends a message yesterday about a mural about a message that went around about the mural at the mosque in Parkwood. There was a message going around that it would have to come down. And he obviously said, no, it's not true. And he says, we are a community built on the respect, diversity, and unity. But let us not allow ourselves to be divided by lies and have our devotion to these principles ended. We remain steadfast in our dedication to serving all communities with integrity and fairness. So this was a DA ward councillor. You know what? This man has to say that, obviously. He gets paid. He gets paid while the people in the ward wherein he serves live in squalor, live in absolute squalor. You know what? On the day, and I must say, on the day that the flags were being removed from the people at Newlands Cricket Ground and from people outside of Newlands, obviously in the leafy suburb of Newlands, I did put out a post, and to Inayet, I want to reiterate this. Please first check where police in the Western Cape and law enforcement in the Western Cape are, if you know somebody who's getting raped or murdered that day or at that time. Because obviously, law enforcement in the Western Cape has far better things to do. The police in the Western Cape have far better things to do, like having 4 grown policemen accosting one man with the Palestinian flag. Now, again, my question is, where are those resources when they are needed to protect our children from violence? Where are those resources? So the Democratic Alliance in Cape Town must know that their selective allocation of resources, their selective compassion, their selective implementation of bylaws is going to come back to get them. If we as activists have to work night and day, we are going to make it public. We will let the people of Cape Town, who sometimes I think have Stockholm syndrome when it comes to the Democratic Alliance, to keep voting for them. We are going to bring this to the fore, not just for Palestine, but for South Africans and Cape Townians who continue to be treated like third-class citizens by the Democratic Alliance.
Well, Mushfiqa, we're going to have to leave it at that. I know, there's a lot more that you and I can engage on, but unfortunately, time is of the essence. But as always, shukran, we do appreciate you taking time out with us this morning right here on Salam Media. All the best to you. Assalamu
Thank you.
alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam.
Moeshfieka Botha was us this morning, and with that, we're going to go for a break. We come back, we'll be joined by Shaheen Khan against the Porch for Palestine protests against the appointment of David Teager as the captain of the South African under 19 cricket team.